Two different missions of law enforcement, crime fighting and public service, can be identified as having quite different implications for decision making. We do not, of course, mean to say that these missions are necessarily contradictory or exclusive. However, it's important to note the history and present day influence of these different roles. Let's take a look at crime control and due process. When one asks most people what the role of policing is in society, the response is some version of catch criminals or fight crime. If one views police as crime control agents, the presumption is that criminals, who are different from the rest of us, are the enemy, and police officers are the soldiers in the war on crime. The crime control model operates under the following principles. Repression of criminal conduct is the most important function. Failure of law enforcement means the breakdown of order. Criminal process is the positive grantor of social freedom, and efficiency is a top priority. Additionally, emphasis is on speed and finality. The conveyor belt is the model for the system, and there's a presumption of guilt. Police perception of their role as crime fighters will lead to certain decisions in their use of force, their definition of duty, and their use of deception and coercion. Public perception of the police mission as primarily crime fighting leads to a willingness to accept certain definitions and justifications of behavior. If one views police as public servants, presumptions are different and include the idea that criminals are not so different from us and, in fact, may be our sons and daughters. Police officers serve all people and owe everyone the duty of civility and legality. Police have a limited ability to affect crime rates on one way or the other because crime is a complex social phenomenon. Under the due process model, the following principles stand out in contrast to those of the crime control model. First, there's a possibility of error. Finality is not a priority, and there's insistence on prevention and elimination of mistakes. Next, efficiency is rejected if it involves shortcuts. Protection is part of the process, and coercive power is subject to abuse. Rather than just an emphasis on rights, as in the due process model, under the public servant model proposed here, law enforcement is perceived as owned by all people, so service is foremost. Police must respond to all constituencies, including groups that may be less supportive of the police than white middle-class communities. It is an enlarged view of the police officer role in society. Rather than simply catching criminals, officers are perceived to be crime preventers, peacekeepers, and service providers. The crime control model of policing is related to the war on crime mentality, with police officers seen as the warriors on the front line. In contrast to the warrior approach to policing is the guardian approach. There has been a growing national movement towards this guardian model of policing. The warrior approach views police as soldiers engaged in a battle. The emphasis is on danger and force. The guardian model, however, sees the officer as a primary protector of the citizenry, but also of democratic values. In academy training, the warrior mindset of power, control, and battle survival is de-emphasized. So what type of policing do we want? Crime fighters or public servants? Those who favor the crime fighter or warrior role are more tolerant of police error in the use of force incidents and in over-policing. Those who believe that police should emphasize the public servant or guardian role are much less tolerant of inappropriate uses of power. Just as the public, police officers tend to perceive one role as dominant over the other, and this perception shapes their daily behavior.